This is your host, Laura Winters, the heart-led pathfinder, intuitive energy healer, speech-language pathologist, and owner of Your Light Holistic Therapy and Wellness, LLC. Welcome to Miracle in Time, a mini-series podcast that brings you the stories of beautiful humans exploring the synchronicities, blessings, and miracles within our perception of time. It illustrates that events are not just happening to us, but for us. Life isn't always rainbows and butterflies, but it is a miracle in time. As a disclaimer, this podcast contains general information about various topics and medical conditions and is for educational purposes and inspiration only. Your Light Holistic Therapy and Wellness LLC is not responsible or liable for the accuracy of information contained in this podcast. The information contained in this episode is the personal views of the host and guests respectively. This podcast is not meant to replace the advice of your healthcare provider and is not intended to prescribe, prevent, treat, or diagnose disease. You assume all risks when you continue this episode. So today on this episode, we're talking to Julie Hertz, who was previously featured as a guest on the Miracle in Time podcast. Her and I were in the group that went to get our tongue ties released with Dr. Greg. And so I'm really excited to talk to her about the progress that she's had, the procedure itself, the healing afterward, and everything that's happened since then. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good, miss you, friend.
I know. So how are you doing?
How am I doing? Well, that's a loaded question.
Aw. Okay, well, let's go back a little bit. So we went down on a Saturday. It was in April, right? Like April 5th. So it's been,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's been like 6 weeks or so. And it was great to see you in person again.
Well, same.
And you were so nervous about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did not watch the first one, who was Lynn, who I've talked to on here as well. And I hung out with you because you were kind of freaking out a little bit. Not too bad, I think, but you were just like, I just cannot witness this before it actually happens.
Right. If there was like if it was like Carrie after us who had gone first and I had seen it, I think I would have been like, whoa.
Yes.
That's what I was like,
Yes.
Either way. Yes. No, I was nervous about like seeing someone and getting woozy, that's what I was avoiding. But very excited about the process.
Yeah. And I think like as an SLP, you can decide whether you want to be very medical or not. And so like there are some things that I absolutely love, like trachs and vents, and like I've seen some nasty stuff. So like I love it. But yes, I can tell you're not that kind of
I can handle
SLP.
Sneeze in the face, cough in the face, all the stuff like that, the boogers, but
That's hilarious. I'm like, I can deal with anything from the neck and the mouth, but the nose, I cannot do snot. Like, oh, that just grosses me out so much.
all of our things.
So anyway, all right. So you went in the chair and then what?
Yeah.
Let's just talk about it.
And then what? It was cool. I mean, I think, they do the numbing, whatever. And then so you like know something's happening. It's like a local anesthetic that I did. I did the laughing gas too.
You did.
Why not? No, just to be safe. And immediately after he finished, like I felt like I was clenching less, had less. You and I both had the biggest, I feel like, reaction to, Carrie too.
Mm-hmm.
With just that, I felt like I could just open up my chest more and like take a deeper breath. Um, I think I said before the first time, if not, that I have triple S scoliosis and the apex of my curve, like the hardest part, like the worst part is like right here, which is within that cavity. And so just releasing that was, I mean, remarkably, I still say, I'm like, oh my goodness, like it's not like perfect all the time, but the amount of ease I'm getting with taking a deep breath was really cool.
That's amazing.
You the same, right?
I mean, yeah, so like yes, the neck tension, the like it was primarily my right neck and shoulder. Yeah, it was very immediate like afterward. Like on the way home when I was driving, like you look over your shoulder this way and then
Mhm.
you look over your shoulder the other way, and I'd always like have to turn my whole
Right.
upper body to go to the right, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't have to really turn my body at all, which was like usually there's a pull. Like I can absolutely feel a
Yeah.
pull happen. And when I turned my head, it was like it actually didn't pull. And I was like, this is insane.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and then the next morning, so also with just all my tightness and scoliosis, like I'm just a person who can't like ever just crack myself. You know, some people are just like my husband and whatever. And I woke up the next morning and I remember like stretching and stretching my ankles and my ankles popped and they were like cracking. And I was like, what? Sense, right? Because the muscle goes all the way down to your feet. And then my craniosacral therapist, after my first session, she's just like, the difference, was
Yes.
crazy. I mean, I've seen my CST once, my CFT twice, once this week, which I'll tell you about after, and then my cranial chiropractor. And they were all like, all saw a difference. But life and stress obviously comes back into the picture, and I'm finding myself clenching some more. And that stress building back, I have to be very conscious still to not get into that old habit. And then what was the other thing? Oh, brain fart.
No, that's okay. I completely agree. And that's what I talked to Dr. Greg this week as well. And I said that, like I had all this relief and I think it actually like afterward was good. And then it exacerbated a little bit the next couple days. Like it actually got even worse than it had been.
Mhm.
And it was definitely telling me like you need the body work right now. Like you did not integrate this completely. You need to do something. And so I went, and after that session, my neighbor did training in CFT. So I went to her, and it was like I text her. I was like, okay, this is gonna take a couple of days for me to integrate because that's what normally happens. And within the hour, I was like, it's gone. Like it's totally gone.
Right.
And it was totally great. And then, yes. And then the stressors come in, and then it's like, kind of comes back. But I think it's a little bit more manageable. It's not like so deeply connected and tied and tight. It's now a little more surface level where you can recognize and start
Totally.
making differences.
You know what the good can be, so you're aware of that change. But what I was talking about with my CFT, like with my CFT person this week was, after you have the release, it's like, yay. And then as Dr. Greg said, like your body's like, well, now what do I do with this? And so your body tends to go back to like what it's comfortable with, even if it's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not correct. And so I just had my second CFT session. We had some scheduling things this week, and I mean that we couldn't get to back till this week. We're yeah. And so the first week that I saw her, she wasn't going deep because of all this stuff. And this time she like went at my sublingual, like all that muscle, because when they cut, it's not, yes, it's attached to all the underbelly at the
Mm-hmm.
floor, but it's not releasing that area. Like he cuts on the surface level.
Yeah.
So she was going at me like, I mean, it wasn't like baby pain, wasn't tap out pain, but it was like very uncomfortable. And this side released like fully, this side she still has to go back. But now that I'm like soft, I know what it's supposed to be like, right? Rather than just sticking my hands in a few people's mouths, because it's like, well, I only have my own self for comparison. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so much more like gushy and like loose and like lower. And so, I had just referred someone to Dr. Greg that's a teenager, and I'm like, she doesn't really have a visible frenum, but like it's very little, but she's
Mm-hmm.
like drawn back and tight. And so I was like, I just want you to go see him. I'm like, my gut tells me, but I don't know the way how I'm feeling like exactly. I haven't had enough experience. And then he was like, oh my gosh, she so needs it. But now that I'm soft here, I'm like, oh, so I feel like doing it is making me a better therapist, and also just working through with my kids and being able to show them more proper things, like I'm not struggling to suction the same way and all those things to give them that model. It's super cool.
Oh, that's so amazing. I love that. And it is these layers. Like we get deeper and deeper into like our own healing, and we talked about that before, and how that creates waves for other people as well. And that's like directly for your patients and their families and everything.
I mean, empathy is, I feel like that separates, being potentially like a good therapist versus a great therapist. I mean, you can be sympathetic, but if you have sympathy and empathy, I'm gonna know what's going through. And then like now being able to like prep someone with the stretches and seeing after how I've had like a little knot, like if I didn't have that, I didn't know, I wouldn't be able to like target that and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is what's helping me release. Or like which ones were harder after. I was like, for me, the hardest ones were like most comfortable with the wipers, but most people said the ping pongs. So it just gives, I feel like I'm just a better, more knowledgeable therapist,
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, it was like, and I'm still having, like, I still have like probably a little tighter than I need to be. And, but I think it was 2 weeks later, we got, like, I have to admit, I was really hesitant to get my fingers really in there. And so I think that was initially part of the problem. And then we got the stomach flu. So I was throwing up for 24 hours. And so it was like 2 days where I didn't do anything. And so like at night is when I'm like, why did this happen? And it truly goes back to like, I apparently needed this experience for myself to be able to help other people through that. Like I'm a little frustrated because I know it's a result of what I did specifically. And so it's like, okay. Now I know that like for other people, like you absolutely have to be diligent. It's going to be okay. Just keep going. And even for my kids, like when they get it done, it's like, no, you can't just pussyfoot around this. Like you actually have to keep going. Right. Like,
Totally. And even with you're talking about like when after and you're sick and stuff, like I have days where like we're human. I'm not getting it done. My days are like waking up super early, and by the time I get home from my kids' basketball practice, it's 10 p.m. and I want to shower and go to bed. Like everyone has that kind of life, and you can't beat yourself up about it, but the importance of doing it daily, like if I'm going without it, I feel the tension, like the muscle, frenulum, like the white under there is getting more like tense. So on those days, I'm having to like do extra. And Dr. Greg did tell me that because I sent him a picture and I was like, I feel like, it's just not looking the way it should. And he's like, go at it like 3 or 4 times a day. That's going to help. And even though it wasn't on the list, I feel like holding suctions, that is like a good one for me. And again, doing this, it's not like we have to follow this specific protocol. We need to use information we have from, skilled courses, but we are our own, we talk about this too, which is therapy. Like, this is what I'm finding for success and, working with kids and trying new things and being like, wow, this really works. So it's okay to really like use your gut and your instinct too. We don't want to like mess anyone up, but with the release I'm feeling, it's not going to hurt anyone for doing the suctions. But for me, have you done that too?
I think that's really good for me to hear, because when I do them, I feel stretching and I feel like, but then I'm like, wait a second, am I doing something wrong? So I actually appreciate that you said that because I feel like that would be really helpful for me to do.
I didn't do them until after like all the white, the scarring, whatever it was, not the scarring, the scabbing was gone.
Hmm.
But once that was gone, I've been doing that and I feel right, like it really pulls the floor and everyone's tongue tie is different. So like a kiddo that I just had done, not my kid, was all the way to the tip and he needs to work on his tip stuff. I don't need tips, stuff the same way. I'm not saying I don't need work, but I had a posterior tongue tie. A lot of my stuff was post and tight there. So that stretching from, the base is more important. That's where I'm feeling it over here, not as much here. So I think it's an individual journey. And yeah,
Right.
it's okay as long as you're healing. And Dr. Greg stressed that to me. Like, if you're not, like, if you're feeling pain, stop. If you're not, and it feels good, like, go at it. Everybody is different. So, for sure.
Yeah, I think that the mobility that I have is kind of wild, and I used to have like I was saying like a ton of tension under here. I don't feel any of that anymore, and I think in terms of like the masseters and like clenching, I think I'm only doing that at times where I'm very stressed. At night, sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, gosh darn it. But like my quality, I really truly feel like my quality of sleep has gotten better too. Like my tongue was probably, after the fact, only about 40% on the roof of the mouth. With the knowledge that this is where your tongue needs to be. So I was trying to do that while creating a ton of tension because I really couldn't do that.
Right.
And then, so now, but there's still conscious times where I'm like, oh, now all of my tongue is on the roof of my mouth. I need to engage a little bit and get it there.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that my quality of sleep is better. Like I'm not waking up as frequently as I was before.
Wow. Yeah. And are you waking up less tired overall?
I don't know. I haven't really noticed. I don't know that I was like exhausted when I woke up. I think in general, I'm just like, I don't know. There's something going on right now. I'm like exhausted throughout the day at all times, but I don't know.
Everyone who isn't, like in our lives, right? Like this stage of life or any stage of mama life. Yeah. So for me, sleep, or just first tongue to roof of mouth. I have like a higher palate. So, and I'm narrow. So a little narrow, but more narrow, but really, really high. So I can't get it up at the
Mm-hmm.
there without like totally sucking. So I'm just trying to keep my focus more like going to where it arches before it goes into the full, open, the great unknown. Um, so that I feel like sometimes I'm catching myself and I'll think about it. I'm in the right spot, and other times I'm not. Like otherwise I default like my tongue tip, pushes down there. But in terms of sleep, I just had this is just like a crazy, crazy busy month in every which way. And my mind is spinning. So I'm waking up in the middle of the night because I'm like, all these things. So I don't feel like I can give an accurate portrayal of, I feel like the first week, yeah, cool. But since then I'm kind of like, sleep's been kind of spotty. So after this little stretch happens and I go back into June, I think I'll be able to have like a better, I don't know the word I'm looking for, trial or
Mm-hmm.
period of how that is. So yeah, but overall, definitely clenching less when I'm not stressed, and I'm like, wow, yeah.
Oh, I want to say one more thing because I didn't get to say this in the other one. So, a couple interesting things that I wouldn't have, and they may not be related. Okay. I'm just going to say they may not be related, but I have been working on decreasing my vision prescription for like the past 2 years. So I'm nearsighted. I can see up close, not far. And even up close is like sometimes, but so I've been working to improve and heal my vision. And so every 6 months or so, I would decrease my prescription a little bit. And I'm probably coming to that point anyway. But I was very much like in the past couple weeks been like having a lot of eye tension and a lot of like everything is like super clear, like uncomfortably clear with my current prescription. And I ordered new glasses, so I decreased the prescription more. I'm going to change things up a little bit. But I was like, I wonder if there's some relation here, because it seemed like it kind of like just went boop, at some point.
We're all connected, right? Like everything I feel like impacts the other. So
yeah.
Right.
And then the other thing, my knees too. And the CST provider before, who I've just seen once, but that was before the release, she was like, is there some issues with your knees? And I'm like, yeah, if I'm down on them a lot or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I put together some planters last week, in like big 8x2 planters, and I was down on my knees and like having to screw them all together and everything. Mm-hmm. And I did not feel like, I was very conscious, like my knees don't hurt at all doing this. So I don't know if it's related, but it's like you said, like your ankle's cracking. Like, I mean, it's kind of wild.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it. I'm a believer.
Okay. One more thing. How about the yawning? Because you had made a comment about, I don't even remember what it was, but something about yawning. So can you explain that, and if any changes happened?
Yeah. So that's funny you say that, because I didn't tell Dr. Greg yet. But so I think like when you yawn, if you're yawning with your tongue down, like in that position, then no, I don't feel it. But if how sometimes you're like, if you're struggling to get a yawn, which I'm not as much, you're like pulling, you're like pulling your tongue back, that's when I would feel it. It wasn't like it wasn't painful, but it was uncomfortable. It was almost like a stretching movement early on. So I noticed like it really just depends on if I'm relaxed and my tongue is down, right? Which is how you should be yawning. You shouldn't be like trying to gasp and pull to get in. So yeah, it really was not an issue, but I practiced it, I think like once or twice to see like, okay, if I go back like this, and you definitely do, right? It's pulling back enough, which is sore in the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's funny because most people probably don't pull to yawn as much as I do to, on a baseline, on general, it's just, and you do that. But I was actually blocking myself from getting that full air with my tongue bunching and closing that airway. But like, I just struggled to get good deep breaths. And now, again, it's not perfect all the time, but I'm getting so many more easily.
That's so cool. So I think
that too, and just like all of it with my cranio fascial therapist and my chiropractor, like I'm starting to get more even within my body. Like I was much more like this, like you could, it's not perfect, but they're just getting bigger releases without having to work so hard. I mean, there's years of tension, especially like within my lung stuff, where my scoliosis is, and breathing, like all this stuff, like it's interconnected. So by me having the release, they're not having to force it as hard, just everything. Like they're saying I'm just like less overall across the board. So 10 out of 10. I recommend it if you have a great person, and if you don't, drive and go see Dr. Greg. Because like anything, any surgeon, like someone can do it, but you need to have someone who really knows, and the follow-up and the care that he's, fielding questions after. So
I totally agree. I'm so happy. I'm so thankful that I did it. And I am so thankful to share the experience with all of you, and our text as we were healing and everything. Is such a supportive environment. And I don't know that I could have done it just like on my own, but I mean, you have to, if you have to, you have to, but I mean, I'm just very thankful for the opportunity.
Yeah. We talked about that, like why were we brought together at this time in life, and like we were each other's support system, and we're bonded now over that for life, and you get to meet new people, and, I geek out over different speech people too. So my husband's probably like,
all right. Well, I'm going to let you go. You have a wonderful day, and your sweet little doggy there. Thank you for coming and joining us as well.
But call me though. Cut that out, but call me.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Thank you.
Sure, bye. Thank
you. Thank you for listening to Miracle in Time. If you would like to explore a theme or know someone perfect for this podcast, please fill out a form on yourlightllc.com/podcast. If you would like to learn more about my services, you can visit the website at yourlightllc.com. I want you to remember that with all life's ups and downs, you are divinely held and guided throughout your journey. Don't miss out on this miracle in time.